and vacate. Your last chance to get rid of me. Not gonna hurt my feelings. He's like,
forever. John would care, not me.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's not here to protect.
Okay, Kara, we are all set.
Okay.
That's
All
Karen.
right, Kara, do I call the meeting to order or is that you? You tell me.
You can call the meeting to order and take attendance, and then I can do my spiel.
Got it. Great. All right, I call to order the Counties of Warren and Washington Industrial Development Agency annual meeting held on Tuesday, February 18, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. at the Warren County Municipal Building. Roll call, Ally.
Ginny Sullivan. Here. Nick Caimano.
Here.
Jim Nolan.
Here.
Tim Robinson.
Here.
Dan Bruno.
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have 6 out of 9.
All right, I will turn it over to our lawyer as we elect the officers of 2025.
Okay, the executive committee met and put the following nominations for chair: Juan Gonzalez, vice chair John Taflin, treasurer Tim Robinson, secretary Trisha Rogers. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Would someone make a motion to elect those officers?
Nick Caimano did.
Is there a second?
Dan Bruno did.
Any further discussion? And then you can take the vote, Ally.
Ginny Sullivan. Nick Caimano.
Yes.
Jim Nolan.
Yes.
Tim Robinson.
Yes.
Dan Bruno.
Yes.
And can one vote or does
Yeah.
one vote?
Yeah.
Okay, Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Just made it.
All right. You're stuck with me for another year. All right. The next item on the agenda is the appointment at two at-large members of the executive committee. If you read the bylaws, which we have read many times, as we separate the secretary and treasurer duties, which we have done, we actually only need to nominate one. And Dan Bruno, as our park chair, is the at-large member of the executive committee. So those are my appointments. So we do not need a vote there. Kara, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Any final discussions before we move on? All right, the Audit and Finance Committee and appointments. The committee will remain the same. One second, let me bring that up. Sorry, I left my one page at home. All right, for the Audit and Finance Committee, we have Tim Robinson, Brian Campbell, Ginny Sullivan, and Juan Gonzalez as an alternate. For the Governance Committee, we have Nick Camino, Trisha Rogers, and we did have Craig Leggett, so we will need one member to volunteer for that committee should they desire. It is a very light lift, potentially one meeting a year is the lift for that. Jim? We'll have Jim Nolan for that committee. And the executive committee is, as we had mentioned, with the chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary, and Dan Bruno as at-large member. Are those the chair appointments, Kara, or do we have to vote for those?
Nope, those are chair appointments.
Okay. All right. So any questions or concerns before we move to the next section? All right, appointment of consultants and official newspapers. We currently have Fitzgerald Morris Baker Firth PC as our agency's counsel, the Post Star as our official newspaper, and the Glens Falls National Bank as our official depository.
Chairman,
Yes.
there is a serious problem here. I don't know if you've kept up with it, but the Post Star has been, the seniors of them, the enterprise, has been, how do I describe it? They've had everything looked at through somebody's going beyond us. You're not getting the papers, nobody's getting the papers, nobody knows what's gonna happen, including Lee. Now, that's one problem. The other problem is a paper is supposed to be a daily, and I don't think this paper can handle the daily.
Good.
But can we ask the legal, I'm sorry. Can the legal tell us, can we use someone other than a daily paper or a newspaper? Because right now, this newspaper is not.
So I would ask the challenge of the Post-Star, do we have alternatives that are more efficient in our
More
region?
efficient right now, because he's brought his family in it, is Frost with his weekly. So that's a weekly day, it's not a daily, it's a weekly. Can that be a paper of record?
Which paper is that one?
Chronicle.
The Chronicle? I know, I was just wondering.
But we can't use the Post-Star because there's nobody there to use.
Well, technically, the Post-Star is published more than once a week. So if we go to Chronicle, then we will be locked in only having once a week, and it will greatly impede our ability to move quickly on issues.
Well, I guess the legal people are hearing it. We can do something about that, but I don't know how to do it because I'm not a lawyer.
So Kara, what are our options with the newspaper?
Well, the only item for the newspaper that we are obligated to post in is for the public hearings that we have. So, I mean, if you wanted to go with the Chronicle, we could do that. There wouldn't be any prohibition. For meeting notices, we have to do the standard is the best that we can do, kind of, with as far as notice to the newspapers. So we're not required to post the notice in the newspaper for a meeting notice. It's just the public hearings that are required to be posted.
They can, what's her name?
Kara.
Kara. Oh, that's
That's
our
Kara.
Kara?
That's our
I
Kara.
didn't recognize her voice. I know that Mark and his son also say things online every day. If there's an accident right now, they will cover it and put it online. Could that, for that, could they do it?
Well, that's my question is, do they carry public hearing announcements, the Chronicle? Does anybody know?
They do.
They
I
do?
think they do.
They
Okay.
do. Kara, I also understand it has to, first of all, it has to be within our jurisdiction, correct?
Right. So if that's not in wide, I think the Chronicle is available Warren and Washington counties usually. I mean, right?
Yeah,
Would
is
you
there
say?
a chance we can list both of them and give ourselves some flexibility?
That's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't see why not. But then I think if you're gonna do both of them, that you should
Yeah.
publish in both then. So
Problem
that's,
is, who do we contact? I have not been able to contact anyone. There's a person who has been given the job. No one's seen him, no one's heard from him, but let's let Kara do it.
Well, the other question is, what is Warren County and Washington County? What are they doing? They have the same problem we do.
Washington, Washington,
'cause
they
they have-
can't read over there, so what's different about that?
We use Washington County, we use the Eagle and the Chronicle.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
so you use two.
One for the southern end, one for the northern end of the county.
Is there a cost difference? Are we paying for these notifications of public hearing?
no, the companies pay for that. That's paid for by them.
So that cost, even though it's marginal, it will not be an IDA cost, it will be the applicant's cost.
Right. The notices, I think they're about $100.
So maybe we do both. Give ourselves flexibility.
Both meetings,
Chronicle and the Post-Star.
well, he has a weekly over in Sarasota.
Well, the Chronicle covers Washington County and Warren County.
Who does?
The Chronicle.
Yeah, but what
Yeah.
Jim is saying is that the Chronicle isn't used for the southern end of Washington County, is that right? It's the Eagle.
Eagle.
It's the Eagle.
So,
Does the Post Star reach the Eagles area? In your opinion,
they
Jim?
they don't reach the Glens Falls area. Why would they reach down there?
I have the Post Star online.
Online?
And it just got back online after it happened. As far as hard copy, I do see it in stores.
Okay,
It's a hard paper, 3 days a week,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
And right now, on the computer, it's not at all. I try to bring it up every morning, and
right.
I only get part way, and it says, I'm sorry, we're still not able to go.
Right.
I
Well,
believe the online version doesn't work. It has to be hard copy version. Is that correct, Kara?
Right,
That's-
right. The law hasn't caught up with, online. So the law still says it has to be in a printed newspaper.
So we can do 3 days a week with the Post Star and also the flexibility of 1 day a week with the Chronicle.
So, Jim, just because you're a bit more knowledgeable in this area, are we reaching everybody in Washington County with the Post Star and the Chronicle, or are we not covering the
I
southern
would-
tier?
I would say, no, you're not reaching Cambridge, Salem. That's much more the Eagle.
Much more the Eagle?
But the Post Star does publish itself as a regional newspaper with more in Washington, Saratoga counties.
Right.
But that's the area that they cover. People don't buy it, they don't buy it, but we're meeting our obligation.
But it's only 3 days.
Yes.
It's only printed 3 days.
Right.
And the Chronicle's 1 day?
Chronicle's 1 day a week.
But the point is,
Well, let's do both.
But that
No,
was the
okay,
Yeah, we see we get the timing sequence where,
But the online presence we can't consider because we're not legally, that's not where we're allowed to put our public hearings, correct?
Correct.
but the Post Star is 3 days a week hard copy.
maybe we have to be careful of how we set the public hearings so that they fall under when, the Chronicle the Chronicle prints on Thursday. Every is,
I mean,
it should,
the Chronicle publishes once a week, but it's a week long. In other words, it has a longer shelf life than the Post Star.
absolutely.
That's why I like it for political stuff. I put an ad in, I don't bother with the Post Star. I put it in the Chronicle because it's got a week shelf life, if you will.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, but our issue is a timing sequence where if we get an applicant, we have 3 options to get it in, where we have to wait weekly intervals for the Chronicle. So it just delays timing of the public hearing. That's all.
So,
Well,
depends on when you set the public hearing.
So if we do both, then we're covered.
yeah,
We do-
figure out when you're gonna
We
change.
do both,
Yeah.
we're covered.
The
So-
other thing
so
is,
go
I
ahead.
would call, you guys should go see Mark and tell him our problem, because he's always wanted to be the paper of record, but here's our problem. So with your changing your times as to when to set them up, and him knowing that we're using him, that might help him.
So Kara, if we elect both, as long as it reaches one in the timeline that we want, then we can set the public hearing and then the secondary announcement can be a couple days later if
Yeah.
it's late, because the Chronicle, it wouldn't impact the date of the hearing as long as one of those two are met. Is that accurate statement? If
Right,
select
we have
both?
one, we have obligation to post 10 days before the hearing, at least 10 days.
Okay.
so would you put or?
And, or how would we address that? Post Star and or Chronicle or and Chronicle, Kara?
Or just or?
I mean, you could do or, and then we would have to post in one, but if you say and, then we'll have to post in both of them and we'll just, those timings. It would be, one would have to be timely and then the other one could be the next day or however it works out.
The next post, yes.
Yeah,
Jim, go ahead.
I don't like the idea of or, because then, someone has to look at both papers to see public hearings.
Right. Okay. Well, let's go around the room, to give everybody a chance to speak. Dan, anything? Tim?
No.
Jenny?
Times Union doesn't work for the Capital District. Are we part of that? I'm just curious. I mean, that's more, I think it's just
No.
really a more reliable print paper, just putting it out there.
Any thoughts on the Times Union, Kara? Is that gonna reach our audience?
I don't know. I'll have to, let me check and see what the language says.
I'm afraid the Times Union would be much too political.
I had to stop the Times Union because they couldn't get an invoice for our company. After 6 months of trying and talking to multiple people, that's very interesting. Yes, Jim?
I subscribe to the Times Union and they don't cover Washington County
They don't
very
cover
well
it
at all.
at all? Okay. Good. Keep going around the room. Nick?
No, you heard what I said, and I think I would start the whole thing with a meeting with or a letter to, Mark Frost and see how this whole thing's gonna work.
Jim? Any final
I think
thoughts?
we have to, choose a newspaper today.
Yes.
So I would say go both.
Okay. All right then.
Go with both?
Well, then I will, any final thoughts for independent motion? Seems that reading the room, the motion that we'll be entertaining is the Post Star and the Chronicle, which will give us more flexibility as we continue to try to reach all of our folks in both counties.
There's a problem with that. Who's responsible? Could we do it in such a way? I don't say he's wrong, because he isn't. We should,
Right.
both of them. But we should do it in such a way that we say that the Chronicle is the, if we're gonna do that, is the paper of record, backed up by the articles in the Post Star. Got it?
That gives us less,
Gotta be legal.
but that gives us less flexibility.
Yeah, but
The speed of business is constant. I mean, I understand the need to try to adjust to public hearings, but with one board meeting a month and then dealing with the counties and their meetings, we have to give this team flexibility or else we will be delaying applications. The majority in this room, if reading it properly, are happy with the Post Star and the Chronicle moving the next step over to continue to try to ensure we're reaching everybody. So
I'll make that motion.
okay, second to put it on the floor.
okay, second to put it on the floor. All right, open discussion on the Post Star and the Chronicle being the newspaper of record for the IDA. All in favor? Wait, do this have to be a roll call vote? Kara?
No,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries.
One more, you just need to change Glens Falls National to Arrow Bank.
Arrow Bank. All right, moving on to the other two. Agency council. Yeah, they do a good job. I'm a big fan. I would entertain a motion to accept Fitzgerald, Morris, Baker, and Firth as our agency of council. Dan, second. Tim, all in favor?
Hey,
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries. All right, agency official depository. Oh,
what?
With the name change to Arrow Bank.
It's not Glen
Kim-
Falls, man.
we've got six, one has to abstain. Or does Ginny have to abstain, Kara?
technically, yeah.
It's, okay. So what if we have 5 yeses and 1 abstain? Where are we at there before I bring this to motion?
You can't pass it.
Can we delay this vote till next meeting?
Yeah.
All right. I would entertain a motion to delay the vote of the agency's official depository. Jim, second. Dan, all in favor? Any opposed or abstain? Ginny? All right. Motion carries to move that to next month's meeting. Alrighty. Now the real fun part. I'm sure everybody spent hours combing through all of our policies. So instead of reading policies A through O, I will first open it up for any discussion points on the annual review ratification of our policies.
Didn't see any need to change anything.
All right, then I would entertain a motion to accept ratify the policies of the IDA. Ginny, second. Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries. All right, any other legal business coming before the agency? And then I just close the meeting, Kara, and move on to the CDC?
Yep.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the annual meeting. Dan, second. Tim, all in favor? Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. We are adjourned from the annual meeting. All right. One second, look for Chuck.
Gotta go back. We could hold the meeting in the midst.
Oh, that's somebody in.
He's talking to somebody out there. We'll give him one quick second.
Quorum in there either.
Yeah, he's on the phone.
Good to go?
We thought you were in the bathroom.
No, I went to see our guest who's here for the next meeting.
All right, almost there. All right, so we'll open the Counties of Warren and Washington Civil Development Corporation Annual Meeting on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 at 3:45 PM. Ally, roll call.
It's 3:54.
Or 3:54, sorry about that.
Ginny Sullivan, Jim Nolan,
Here.
Nick Caimano,
Here.
Tim Robinson,
Here.
Dan Bruno,
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have 6 out of 9.
All right, Kara, take us away.
Okay, for the election of officers, the nominations presented to the meeting today are Chair Juan Gonzalez, Vice Chair John Taflin, Treasurer Tim Robinson, Secretary Tricia Rogers. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, is there someone willing to make that motion to elect those officers? Second,
And
any further discussion?
None.
Okay, all in favor, Ally, you can take the vote.
Ginny Sullivan, Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Jim Nolan,
Yes.
Tim Robinson,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
yes,
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. All right, with that, is this where I'm allowed to say that we will keep the same slate as the IDA, Kara, for everything?
Yep,
All right, then I will entertain a motion to keep the same slate as the IDA. Dan, second. Nick, all in favor? All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries.
Now we're getting started.
All right, that takes us down to the policies, review of policies. All right, I would open that. There was no discussion on policies last time, so I would entertain a motion to ratify the policies of the CDC. All right, Dan, second. Ginny, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries. All right, with no further business, I will entertain a motion to close the CDC annual meeting. Jim, second. Tim, all in favor? Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries. The CDC annual meeting is adjourned. All right, we'll give Chuck a chance to let our guest in and then we will start.
You're gonna change Allie's name?
Ready?
We're ready. All right, I call to orders the counties of Warren and Washington Industrial Development Agency meeting on February 18th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Roll call, Ally.
Ginny Sullivan,
Here.
Nick Caimano,
Here.
Jim Nolan,
Here.
Tim Robinson.
Here.
Dan Bruno,
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have 6 out of 9.
Great. Everybody received in their packet the January 21st IDA board meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes. Jim, second. Dan, I will open the floor to any discussion or comments. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries. All right, treasurer, turn it over to you.
Sure. On the accounts payable, we'll start with that. You do have a total of 60,393. However, some last minute bills came in. I can provide those to you, but the total being signed off today is 71,628.05. And the additions are Fitzgerald Morris Baker Firth for $1,280. Associates of Glens Falls for $1,669. Bob RU Homes for January services $1,402.50. And then Labella Services, $6,882.50. So what we're looking to approve today is 71,628.05 in payables, some of which are asterisk that have already been paid. So open up for any questions on the payables.
Can you just chat on the Washington County Sewer District taxes down below?
Thank you. Yes, good point, Juan. So the annual sewer tax bill for Washington County came in. We had anticipated it could have possibly have gone up, but based on sale of lots to a few customers last year and divesting of other lots eventually, we feel that this number is $35 higher than 23 than we paid in 23, and we anticipate it to either stay the same or go down in future years because of our divesting of the wetlands and other lots.
Merging of lots.
Merging of lots, yeah.
So there's been a topic of the price increase for about a year that we've been anticipating. So the great work by the team divesting the lots and allowing this to be a marginal increase. And we're looking forward to continuing to divest the Airport Industrial Park this year.
Yeah, great job by the team. Yep. Correct. Any other questions on the payables?
All right, I entertain a motion to accept the payables.
Move.
Dan, second. Ginny. Roll call, Ally.
Ginny Sullivan,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Jim Nolan,
Yes.
Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
Dan Bruno,
Yeah.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, I will bring your attention to the balance sheet and income statement, which are labeled nicely on the top of them, pages 1 through 4. 1 and 2 being the income or balance sheet. I'll quickly point out that we're in a healthy position. We did move in as far as liquidity goes. We did move some cash that was sitting idle into a money market of about $100,000. Giving us some interest income as opposed to sitting in a checking account that's earning hardly anything. So that was an increase in our ICS money market account.
I'm sorry, Tim, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
That has not been done. I
Oh.
thought it needed to be approved first because we were moving money.
So Kara, if we're just moving money from one account to the other, does that need board approval?
So
From moving from a checking to a money market account?
You're on mute.
That's not, is she on mute?
You're
Oh,
on mute.
you're on mute, Kara.
Sorry. I think you would want to put it on record, so there's a record of the movement, so.
open yourself up for any kind of things.
All right.
All right, so then the growth there is just purely income from the CD over time, right? The fact that we went from 1.7 to 1.8. A year ago. 1.7.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. And the increase we would need to vote on, do we want to tackle that this
Yep.
meeting?
After we approve the year-to-date financials, we'll make a motion to approve the
Okay.
transfer funding.
Very good. Liabilities. Yeah, The accounts, do we have to, the accounts are from Warren, Washington IDA to Warren, Washington IDA, right?
Correct.
Not the CDC?
Correct.
Okay.
So if you're looking at the balance sheet there, you're taking from the checking account at 200 cash right there on the very top, the 428,000. You're gonna take 100,000 of that and move it right up to the next spot over, which is the $1.8 million money market. Those are the two accounts in question.
Within an institution that I'm not.
No, they're both IDA accounts.
No, but she's not
Yeah, I'm
gonna,
not gonna
she's
be-
not gonna be able to.
Oh, you can't vote on that
So we'll
either.
have to move that to the next.
Good. All right, there you go.
Thanks.
We wanted to give the teams a heads up about a movement of funds.
There you go. In terms of liabilities, they're very minimal. It's really, our current liabilities are real liabilities and they're nominal in comparison. I'll flip to page 3 of this financial statement. And you'll see that our operating income is up significantly based on receipt of rail usage fees, based on receipt of canal side lease income for the year. I'm sorry, for the month. So we're up $53,000 in revenues. Expenses, we are down. It's a negative number in total operating expenses on page 4, very bottom. Says minus 52. That's because we received reimbursement for engineering of $98,000. So it made our expenses, quite honestly, a negative, which is a positive, resulting in ordinary income for the first month of January of $139,000 versus a loss of $29,000 the prior year. I certainly will open it up to any questions.
Well, I don't think there's any questions. I think it should be a pat in the back. Aren't we a year now that we changed things over and we are redoing you two guys and everything? We are who we are today compared to what we were before. I've been on this board a long time, and this is the kind of thing that is good for us and good for our community because we can do more.
So the foundation that was set by previous board members and those longstanding members here has allowed us to this moment. I would say Chuck and Ally have done a phenomenal job helping to guide the team. I would also point out to the team, if you look back at page 1 on the balance sheet, we are up 328,000 cash from this time last year. We are doing a phenomenal job of ensuring that we can preserve our cash and allow us to provide options as soon as we get into the next phase of what we want to do as an IDA. So if anything else to add, Chuck?
No, good.
Just a pat in the back.
Mission's not done yet. All right, I will entertain a motion to accept the unaudited year-to-date financial reports. Nick, second. Jim, all in favor, roll call vote, Ally.
One moment. Ginny Sullivan, Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Jim Nolan,
Yes.
Tim Robinson, Dan Bruno,
Yeah,
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion passes.
great. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate all the work. And we will, just wanted to give the team heads up on the transfer for next month. All right, reports of committees, park chair update.
Do we want to go to our applicant?
Let's go to our applicant.
Okay.
I'll turn it over, Chuck. Take it over,
Okay,
Chuck.
all right, well, thank you. So going down to new business, we have 2 applications. One application, the Wood Creek Holdings, we've decided to delay until next month. But today we will hear from FW Webb. With us is John Crispino, the operations manager. John will speak momentarily about the project and then I'll speak about the incentives and we'll open up for questions. So with that, John, you want to go ahead and go to the microphone and tell us a little bit about your project and where you are with it.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So what we're looking to do is relocate in Queensbury on 369 Corinth Road, probably adding roughly another 50,000 to 70,000 square feet of stocking space, and also adding a showroom, which will include an additional 5 employees that we're looking to add in that regard for all kitchen and bath appliances and stuff for added business we're looking to do. We're looking to start construction in April and finish the build in June of 2026. So with that, we're applying for an IDA, I can say with Chuck, right? Yes. For some tax relief, which will help us expedite the additional employees we're looking to add to the new facility.
Yeah, let me add a couple things and you and I can go back and forth. The total project cost is estimated about $20 million. The construction cost is estimated about $15 million. One thing we haven't done yet with this is we've only done draft calculation of the incentives because we've decided with a project of this magnitude, we need to go talk with the town of Queensbury assessor to make sure we have a good base number to calculate the incentives. So just FYI, we have a current estimate that the property tax exemption will be about $987,000, but that is a draft number. We also have a draft number of sales and use tax exemption of $560,000, and the applicant will not be doing anything with mortgage tax exemptions. So the draft gross amount is about 1.5 million. After IDA fees and legal fees, it's about 1.4 million. But please realize this is draft because we do want to talk with the Queensbury Town Assessor. We have done some preliminary numbers on the benefit to the community. And over a 10-year period, the current draft number is 25 million. It includes incremental wages and benefits because there will be addition of 8 added people to the site. And that will be about $6 million over 10 years. There'll also be construction labor, about 9.2 million. There'll be construction materials within New York State of 6 million. There'll be incremental sales tax generated of about 2.4 million. Then there'll be the pilot payments themselves of 1.6 million. And then that will produce a total benefit of 25 million. Rough numbers are showing a cost benefit ratio of 1:16, but again, it's draft. But I wanted to make you aware that the numbers are looking very positive. And again, we'll talk with the Queensbury Town Assessor, lock into exact incentive numbers. So with that, are there any questions for myself? Oh, I'll also point out that the property right now, if you go to Warren County GIS, you see it's 20 acres. It's actually a site that's going to be subdivided. It's a little over 10 acres for this project. The land has been cleared. The title has been passed. But then FW Webb does need to go in front of the town planning board. So that could take a little bit of time. So we, as far as declaring when we do a public hearing, if we decide to accept the application, the date will be set once we understand the timing with the Queensbury Planning Board. So with that, I'll open up for any questions. Or John, anything to add on to what I just said?
No, I think you hit it pretty well.
Okay.
Put my eyes where the new building's gonna be.
So if you get off exit 18 and you're headed towards West Mountain, about a quarter mile down the road past Hudson Headwaters, right there on Corinth Road, we're gonna have a storefront, right behind the current billboards, if you know where I'm talking.
I do.
Right there is where the building is.
Yeah, you can't miss it. The lots have been cleared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
The reason I asked is because that's what I thought was, and that is building up tremendously out there, right? So you're prepared to go for the planning and say, we're gonna do this right? Oh, absolutely, okay, yes. Lots of traffic. Good traffic.
Any other questions?
oh, when would we, have a more finalized, when do you anticipate speaking with the town assessor?
We're looking to arrange a meeting with the assessor as soon as she's available. So hopefully maybe as early as later this week, if not possibly next week. We'd like to move pretty fast because we'll need to lock down these numbers for the finding statement. So we want to get the draft finding statement ready to go. And then once we understand the timing of the Queensbury Town Board, then we'll issue the final finding statement.
She's not gonna be here, you're gonna go to meet her, right?
Correct. John and I are looking to go meet with her. It's important that the applicant, of course, be there. So he'll lead the charge and I'll come up with the numbers and we'll
I
have a discussion.
wanted to make sure she wouldn't come to this meeting or something.
No, they're of course welcome to come to the public hearing, which they have done in the past, but we'll go and meet with them to work out the assessment number, to make sure we have a proper estimate for what the assessment will be. I do believe, again, the total construction cost is 15 million. I'm expecting the assessment to be less, but she's the expert, so we'll let her give us the number that she thinks is reasonable with the information provided thus far.
What will happen with the old place?
We will be selling it.
Do we have it?
I mean, it's gonna go on the market.
For the right price.
Yeah, right. Fair market value.
We could do another industrial park. Okay, I guess that's it, Mr. Chairman, and you
Sure.
can take a vote to,
Yeah, no, I'm just looking through. I do see the parts of the application that did talk about if you were unable to receive financial assistance. They're well written, so I'm sure everybody has saw those as well. So with that, let me get to the resolution page. Any final questions for our guest?
Has this been publicized a lot by you?
I would say so, yeah. It's been noted in the Chronicle quite a bit and the Post-Star.
yeah, I'll point out the Albany Business Review also did an article
That's right.
several months ago.
Good.
All right,
All right. Good
With-
luck.
with that, I will entertain a motion to accept a resolution accepting an application for financial assistance submitted by FW Web Company or its assigns the company relating to a certain project, authorizing a public hearing with respect to the project and describing the financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the project. Tim, second, Jim, roll call vote, Ally.
Ginny Sullivan, Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Jim Nolan,
Yes.
Tim Robinson,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Lon Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion passes.
all right, motion carries.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, not
Thank
so
you.
bad,
Good
right?
luck.
Won't say congratulations, one more step.
Yeah, no,
We have a
we'll
long
get-
road ahead.
You and I will talk about meeting with the assessor, and then we'll talk about the public hearing date at a later time, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving back to number 4 on the agenda, reports of committee, park chair update.
Not much has changed, the outside park, Everett, so you are. What do you want to call it?
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
He's doing a good job. I had, noted that some of the large trees on the mountain, the area where Phil was, deposited from construction a long time ago, had some large trees on. Anyway, he's done a good job clearing most of those off. And I'm sure as time goes on and weather improves, he'll continue. Tenants, not much activity there. Kiewit is very active. Our Electric and SMS Rail has a lot of cars there. I suspect they must be unloading a lot of spent grain there. So that's good. Airport Industrial Park, I think we're still waiting on the appraisal to be completed. I saw an email here.
That we have the appraisal for the airport industrial park, but we are waiting for the appraisal on Canal Side.
Oh, okay, I had it backward. Anyway, that's it for me, really.
Okay, so I'll just add a few things. So I know there are a couple board members who aren't always at the executive and park committee meeting. We did have an issue raised up by the town of Port Edward as far as the water source for the site. You might recall current plan is to take water from the village. We asked Labella to investigate their water source suggestions. They did. Labella did investigate, and lo and behold, the option we have selected from East Street, the village, is in fact the least costly way of adding more water to the site. So we appreciate the town giving us ideas. We've run them to the ground, and we're going to stick with the village option. The next critical path for us is a water district formation. In your board package, page 11, was a procedures action list that Kara put together with the town and village attorney outlining the steps necessary for forming the water district for canal side. There are several steps that are here that are involved. It could take a couple of months. I don't know, Kara, if you want to make any comments about this at this time or not.
Good.
She's on mute.
I don't really have any other update. We're trying to schedule the meeting. I believe the supervisor was out last week. So we're just trying to reschedule that or schedule it the first time.
Yeah, just and part of this is making sure the town and the town's attorney are aligned with these steps. And so we thought having a meeting with the town would make sense. And Kara is working on arranging that meeting. The other key element to this schedule is what is called the map plan report. We have a draft water map plan report from Labella. The village has gotten back with some comments, and those comments and questions are being addressed. So we will have a draft map plan report that is progressed to the point where all parties agree with the contents of the map plan report. So there's a ways to go here, but we have a clear path at this time with the water addition. Any questions about what we're doing on the water side? On the septic side, as a reminder, we had the idea of hooking into the Washington County Sewer District, running a 6,000-foot length pipe from our site to the closest connection for the sewer district, and ran into an issue of the DEC requiring a stormwater offset, which ended up costing $9 million with money funding we do not have. Washington County has included in the most recent draft state budget a request for that funding. It's not guaranteed we'll get that funding. Meanwhile, we are working on our alternative of setting up a treatment facility on site. We would use a smaller 25,000 square foot building for treatment, and that building already has a pipe that goes to the canal. The DEC has informally suggested that discharge into canal would be permitted. So Labella now is running that option to ground, and we'll have more to report on that at a later date. Any questions on the wastewater issue? The only other thing I'll add, I'll need Kara to help me here too, is with the substation. You might recall that where a substation is, there's a tower. That tower is actually owned by National Grid Niagara Mohawk. It's a little unusual. Usually it's the property owner that owns the tower. National Grid has requested that ownership come back to us. So Kara has worked with the attorney from National Grid for that transfer. In your package, you have pages 6 through 10 representing an amendment modification. And then if approved by this board, we would go forward with transferring the ownership back to us. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Kara for any additional comments on what's happening here.
Yeah, we received an amendment to the easement of record from National Grid, and it basically just clarifies the responsibility of the substation, like you said. So I think we'll plan on having that presented at the next meeting for approval.
Okay, sorry, Kara. I thought, okay, so it's the next meeting?
Right, isn't that? Yeah.
Do we need to do anything else? Is it possible to approve for this meeting, or is there more work to be done?
We could approve it if I didn't know if the board had received it yet.
Yeah, it wasn't the board package, and if you turn to page 10,
sorry, I didn't realize that.
No worries, no worries. So just to let the group know, if you look on page 10, it's a side profile of the substation, and on the right side, you'll see a very tall tower. That's what we're really talking about. And we bumped up against this issue, not realizing that WCC and National Grid, or back then Niagara Mohawk, had transfer ownership. And again, now National Grid is requesting to have the ownership come back to us, and that means the responsibility. The whole impetus behind this was that fuse that broke about a year ago, and us fixing that fuse. That's where we bumped into this legal issue of who owns the tower. So again, we're just looking to take ownership back at National Grid's request. There's nothing here that's not unusual.
So from a cost and time perspective, the cost is still ours. The time to keep it maintained has been ours and will continue to be ours. There's nothing changing in that regard. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then who creates a diagram with the person in the middle of the kill
You
zone?
like that?
I'm just, no, I don't like
Holding a
it.
clipboard or something?
Let's not show that one to OSHA. All right. So let me open that up for discussion. Is there any other discussions? And is anybody not comfortable wanting to make a decision today on this topic? All right, then I will entertain a motion to accept the amendment modification on the tower. Dan, second. Tim. Does this need to be roll call, Kara?
No,
Well, Nick called for roll call, so we gotta go roll call now.
okay.
Jenny Sullivan,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
Yeah.
Jim Nolan,
Yes.
Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion passes.
all right.
Okay, so thank you. That's it on the project updates. On the maintenance updates, Mr. Bruno mentioned about the tree removal. Also point out, we've had snow removal as a hot topic lately. It has worked well with the last storm. We do need to have further coordination with the town of Fort Edward. That's underway and more report in the future. As far as canal side tenant activity, the site continues to be very busy with all three of our tenants. I'll point out that we also have an appraiser looking at the site right now, and a tour was provided a few weeks ago. And we're hoping to have the appraisal ready for discussion at our March board meeting. And we have had another party express interest in the site. Still too early to disclose who the party is, and we did refer the party to Berkshire Hathaway Lake Realty, and they are dealing with the interest accordingly. So that's it for the tenant update, or that's it for all of Canal Side, unless there are any questions.
I would just add two items, or three actually, is that in your, what has been being sent is the meeting minutes with our biweekly with Labella, just to keep the team update on things that are happening in between our board meetings, as well as the meeting minutes for the executive committee meeting to keep everybody updated. They're light reads, 1 or 2 minutes each one, so we just want to continue to try to keep the entire board updated on as we're having conversations.
Our next meeting with Labella is tomorrow.
So we have two meetings tomorrow afternoon. We'll divide and conquer. One is at Canal Side with an interested party and the other one is Labella. So the team will be dividing and conquering on that one. Final update I have for Canal Side is a bridge. We did receive a letter from, go ahead. Looks like the New York State DOT about the Endangered Species Act. There's no concerns. So it's just one of the check marks that we're needing for the 2026 bridge project. So it's a small update there. All right, anybody have anything else for Canal Side or Airport Industrial Park before we move on?
I do have one more couple items for Airport Industrial Park.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in your board package, number 5, we will talk more about that diagram in executive session, but for my report out, I want to point out that what we're calling the Ferguson Lane extension, which is that yellow area, which amounts to 25.8 acres. We did have an interested party. That party has since notified us and no longer interested. The party found another site within Warren County. So at this time, we do not have any seriously interested party in that site. And of course, Berkshire Hathaway is now working on the marketing of that site. And as I mentioned, we'll go into executive session regarding listing of the property and talk further about page number 5. That's it.
I would just add to the Airport Industrial Park, the New York State Wetlands Regulations. Chuck did send an email out to the team. Very interesting brief if you have the time. Otherwise, stay focused on the pages that he's mentioned. We'll give you the gist of what is going on. That is a hot topic, and we're just trying to learn more as the regulations are getting enforced. All right, anybody have anything else on the airport industrial park? All right, moving on to ongoing business, exit 19 lodging project update.
I think we need Kara.
Kara, do you have?
Well, let me just start off that I know they have not yet gone in front of the planning board. They talked about the need to go in front of the planning board. There has been informal discussions with the planning department. But other than that, there's been nothing else that I'm aware of. And I don't know.
Yeah,
Kara-
I don't have any news about that project.
All right,
Okay.
so we stand. Anybody have any additional ongoing business for the board?
Nope.
It's not warming up in here, is it? All right, new business. We have gone through FW Web. We have mentioned to the team the Wood Creek Holdings is delayed to next month. And we have the Adirondack Radiology Associates and Cary Road Medical Building Sales Tax Exemption Extension.
This is the time for me to go back to what I said. The reason I asked the question about, did he put out advertising regarding what they're doing, is it enough? And I say that because for all the years I've been here, I can't remember anybody going to the open meetings. And should we get people there? Will they back us? Will they turn the thing down? Nobody comes to those meetings.
Are you referring to the planning board meeting?
No, to the,
Public hearing,
huh?
public hearing.
Yeah, the public hearings. Nobody comes to the public hearings. I can see some serious problems going on that road.
Well, remember, our responsibility is not that of a planning board.
No, I know.
Right, and there will be a planning board public hearing. So if anybody has issues about the roads, we want them to go to that meeting, not our meeting.
Right.
Because we have no jurisdiction over the traffic situation.
But why don't they come? This is a big operation here, and it's gonna be great business, and nobody's gonna go.
Well, as you know, our
Yeah,
responsibility is
that's
to do the public notice, and if there's interest, there's interest. If there's not, maybe that means no news is good news and there's no controversy.
Okay. I just wanna, yeah.
Yeah, but there will be the public hearing for the planning board, to your point about traffic.
There definitely will be, because that area is just blossoming.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be part of it, I think.
Kara, can you take over Adirondack Radiology, or you want me to read that gentleman's statement?
So Adirondack Radiology, they've requested an extension because the construction is behind schedule. So they have requested an extension. Oh my gosh, is it through the end of July?
30 July,
Yeah.
yes.
They think they'll be done by June or sometime in June, but they asked for July just in case they needed some additional time. But they just indicated that it was the construction schedule, it was delayed.
And originally, the ST 123 had 30 April, and they are looking for an extension into July, and that is the only change, correct, Kara?
Yes.
So I will entertain a motion to accept the resolution and allow us to change that document. Jim, second. Tim? Roll call vote, Ally.
Ginny Sullivan,
I'm not sure that I can vote on that one either. I had abstained from the initial vote on the initial request.
So if Ginny abstained on the original request, Kara, did she need to abstain on this one?
I don't think so, because this is an extension.
Yes.
They
Yes, all right.
closed
Thank you, Kara.
on that matter, so.
Thank you.
Nick Carmona,
Yes.
Jim Nolan,
Yes.
Tim Robinson, Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion passes.
motion passes. Great. And we did have a late breaking new business item, the Greenwich Preservation Group pilot. It was a late email. Kara, can you give us a quick data dump on that one?
Yeah, so this project closed about 5 years ago. It's the Greenwich Preservation Group. It's Wally's Restaurant in Greenwich. And that project was 2 facilities, the restaurant and then an office building And he is looking to sell the office building to Dave Klingbeil, who has his law office there right now. And what they're requesting is to have the pilot assigned to Dave Klingbeil or his LLC that I don't know what the name of it is yet, but they are seeking to have the pilot assigned. There's not going to be any project, so to speak, but it's not changing in use either from what the current company has done with that project. Apparently there's an additional vacant space and he's not sure if he's going to renovate it into more office space or renovate it into an apartment. But there's really no plan, so to speak, with that.
And just going through some of the details, there are 5 years left on the pilot with an estimated exemption of $5,000, and the buyer has agreed to cover legal fees and IDA fees.
Have we done this before, Karen?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if we've done an assignment.
Without putting somebody back through an application and justification, why would we consider this?
Well, so the documents do allow for if somebody's selling their business, their building or facility, and there is a process in place. So if you want, I guess if you consider this being an assignment and there's really no change, so if they would have otherwise qualified, for instance, we're not evaluating this particular project and saying they're in default on any of the terms. They are in compliance. They did what they indicated they were going to do. And so there's no current default. It's just an extension of that time frame, I guess, is the way you would look at it
When you are.
for the new owner.
Who assumes the responsibilities of the pilot,
Right.
the benefit and the obligation for the economic activity that was part of that pilot.
They do.
Yeah.
So they're assuming those jobs creation.
The utilization of that space for business purposes, things
Okay.
like that. So it's both sides of the equation.
Just to be clear though, the economic benefit, what's the status of the building now? It sounded like it was vacant, like it was unclear what he was gonna.
He's got his law office is there, and I think there's an accountant in that building as well. Isn't that what you said, Ally? Is there an accountant?
Yes.
The project, I have limited knowledge on this project, to be quite honest, but it was 2 buildings, both 73 Main Street and I believe 54.
Yeah,
which is
54.
Wally's. So you have Wally's and there's a museum in there also, and then there's the office space. So there were a mixture of things that went along with this project that was approved 5 years ago. This project, when I was going through the files, I saw a lot of support letters, including from the town and the village and various businesses. So it was a very well supported project. But that being said, they're looking for the transfer of ownership and asking that the pilot benefit goes along with the responsibility to fulfill the pilot obligations.
But this is not the restaurant. This isn't Wally's. This is a different.
No, but the application had multiple buildings.
Right.
It had the 2 buildings. So one of the buildings will be going. And I guess, Kara, we then have to pull it apart because there will still be the existing pilot with the original project for one half, and then there'll be another half that'll be subdivided out to a new owner. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what we're gonna have to, from a paperwork standpoint, we're gonna have to assign this portion of the pilot, and will have to refile. I would think we would refile the pilot for both of them, so it's clear to the municipality what is happening and who's responsible for those pilot payments.
To get any buy-in from the county? We have to go to anybody in Greenwich ahead of time? Is this one of our,
No, this project was approved by both counties when it was originally approved. It was because it's sales, retail considered, because there's people going to the restaurant. It was approved under the exception that it was bringing a good and service to the community that wasn't already available. And so that was presented to both counties for the county boards to approve.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Any other questions? All right then, with that, I would entertain a motion to accept the, what are we calling this, Kara? The assignment of the pilot. From the
Yeah,
Greenwich Preservation Group
Right, for 73 Main Street.
for 73 Main Street. Dan, second. Jenny, roll call vote, Ally.
Nick Carmano,
Yes.
Jenny Sullivan, Jim Nolan,
Yes,
Tim Robinson,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion passes.
great. Is there any new business to bring forward to the board? All right, staff report, CEO.
Okay, well, as you might recall, I was not here for the January board meeting due to my shoulder replacement surgery. So I'm actually going to report from December 17th through the 18th. I will consolidate some of the issues that went on in December. There, of course, were several holiday parties, both the Greenwich Chamber, Lake George Regional Chamber, and the, yes, those were the two holiday parties. I'll also point out in December, invited to the Glens Falls Comprehensive Plan Community Feedback Session at the Crandall Library. It was a very informative session, and I think Glens Falls is off to a good start with their comprehensive plan. And I'll point out in January 7th, headed to Johnsburg Town Board meeting regarding North Creek Sewer District project and some issues with Florida and fitting in with that system. You may have recently read that the Warren County Board of Supervisors decided to allocate a portion of occupancy tax to that North Creek Sewer project, not necessarily for ORDA, but for the sewer district itself that dealt with the funding gap. And Mr. Bruno, I know you were.
That is only if they need it. In other words, it's more of a guarantee. And they will use some or all of that. What if they don't use? Obviously, the county doesn't.
Right, and they've already.
So they could move their project along, because if they hadn't had that guarantee, they would get the funding. And if it had to go back to the town, the residents, whatever, they're afraid it might not pass again. That's part of the impetus. And as viewed from the Warren County Board side, this is an important project economically. We're not too happy with ORDA about not stepping up, but that's a story for another time. But it's viewed as economically important that they get the funding and move this whole thing along.
Yeah, just to add on to that, you might remember the Copperfield Hotel project with Weekender Hotels. That was one of our applicants. They are relying on the sewer district. There's also another hotel plan underway, and there's also a housing project that's planned underway. And there's a couple other vacant lots in which people are circling. And that's the reason why I've been involved here, because I think for the IDA, sponsoring incentive projects, this sewer district is instrumental. And by the way, I do know that Johnsburg have been working on applications to ESD for the funding, to your point, to try to find other funding sources. Just continuing on, not going through everything. Of course, there was the ARCC Legislators Breakfast at the Queensbury Hotel, hosted by Tricia back on January 29th. There's also, they asked me to be involved with providing comprehensive feedback to the draft Warren County Outdoor Recreation Study. Very well done study, except it did not have enough private sector involvement. So that was my main feedback, that to get the private sector involved, and that feedback was very well received by both the consultant and Warren County. Finally, I'll mention that back on February 11th and 12th last week, Juan and I attended the New York State Economic Development Council Conference in Albany. A few highlights for myself. The EDC, which is the Economic Development Council, not our EDC here, the EDC in Albany and the Business Council of New York State are partnering to identify actionable solutions to create more dynamic, competitive, and business-friendly environment. There's a survey that they have pushed out. If anybody's interested in filling out that survey, please let me know. I just completed a couple days ago, and it took about 20 minutes to complete. Also point out, as far as different sessions I attended the economic development metrics, which are some modern tools, one which will be helpful for me as I work on the finding statement and do the cost benefit analysis. There was also a public relations and public affairs strategy session, including Ryan Moore of Bean Communications. There was a discussion or a breakout session about pilot agreements, and one of the main points was to engage your assessors. And as you just learned with our current applicant, we're going to do exactly that. There was also a presentation about New York being well positioned for climate as a climate haven by Glens Falls Drew Fitzgerald. You might recall he was at one of the ESD or EDC luncheon, and he talked about the very same topic. Another keynote speaker was the Fairlife CEO, a gentleman named Tim Dolman, and he talked about a $650 million facility in Webster, which is right outside of Rochester. As you might know, they're a subsidiary of Coca-Cola, and they broke it into the milk industry and providing a boutique milk product. I also then attended the Site Selection 2025 Beyond session, including Sarah White, which was a person that was a consultant working for NYSERDA that identified our Canal Side Energy Park as one of the top 20 sites in New York State. So it was nice to meet her in person. And then finally, at the end of the 2-day seminar, there was a presentation, as Juan referred to earlier, regarding New York State Freshwater Wetlands Act. That was actually passed 2022, but now the rules and regulations are effective January 1st, and it will have impact on the development within New York State. Before I go into my engagements and pipeline list, any questions about what I've talked about? As far as engagements in the pipeline list, thus far this year, now we're on to new year, there's been 10 engagements, 3 in manufacturing distribution, 2 in tourism, 2 in housing and mixed use, 1 in energy, and 2 in other. Of those 10, 2 are possible applicants for 2025, 3 are unknown, and 5 I don't anticipate being applicants. As far as the pipeline list, the active pipeline list, we currently have 18 as of Friday. We have 6 in the hotel and resort industry, 5 in manufacturing distribution, 4 in housing, 1 in tourism and recreation, and 2 in mixed use. Of those, 3 applicants are either have been accepted or will be accepted. We accepted 1 today. We'll be presumably accepting 1 at the next meeting. As you know, we accepted the Exit 18 hotel at a previous meeting in December. We have 2 additional applications that are being worked on. We have 6 possible applications. We have 7 businesses exploring an application, and that totals the 18. We also have at least 15 projects that have gone inactive within the past year. And that's a report out with the engagements and the pipeline list. I don't know if there are any questions. Okay, thank you.
All done. All right, moving on to our administrator.
I only have a few things. So far, we only have 3 pilots left that have not paid their town, county, and special district taxes. Also on January 30th, a NICEF audit was performed in the office for our payroll, and everything went well. He had no concerns. And we are currently in the middle of the EFPR annual audit. It's being done differently this year. It's being done remotely. So it's kind of quiet in the office. They just kind of email me things that they are looking for. I scan them and send them back. So that's I don't have any final word yet or any reporting. They're in the middle of working on it. Also, thank you for the board evaluation surveys. I've gotten 8 responses so far. So whoever hasn't done it yet, please do so. I'm not sure. I can't tell who's done it and who hasn't. So if any of you in this room have not done it, please do so. But thank you to the ones who have. That's all I have.
Good. I would just add to the Chuck's report about the conference. It was one of the great parts about that conference is meeting other IDAs, and happened to run into an IDA that has a partnership with the local college. So that I'm owed an email on how that works and what that is as far as local workforce development. So it's very interesting. At the same time, there was a SUNY conference in Washington DC, and Amy, who's the board chair of SUNY Adirondack, was in DC, and she had met the IDA or the SUNY college person who was partnering with the IDA at the same time, about the same time that I met the IDA, and we're texting each other. It was very interesting partnerships. There's a lot out there that other IDAs do, and as we continue our trek on what we want to do, these conferences are a great way to figure out what's going on out there that we can mimic in our region. So, all right. Anything for the administrator? Anything for our CEO? Any public comments? All right, Kara, if you could take us into executive session for the discussion of pricing of
Of the real property.
on real property, yes.
Yep, that will be one of the exception, or one of the bases to go into executive session when we talk about the value of property.
All right, entertain a motion to we'll go into executive session. Jim, second. Nick? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? And we will be making a decision out of executive session, correct?